Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa. It's our opposition preview. I'm delighted to be joined by one of my favourite content creators, Martin Sanders. How you doing, mate?
Mate, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. No, it's great to be here. I've been watching the content all season, so keeping a close eye on Aston Villa via your channel, my friend.
Yeah, and you're doing some great stuff for Southampton. I mean, your content's amazing. You're always there, and you're fronting it up when things get difficult. And I know as a content creator, like when times are a bit difficult, it is hard to talk about it, isn't it? So, how are you feeling as a Southampton fan then?
Oh, mate, it's been really hard. I saw you at the overlap at the start of the season, and we had a good chat about the season ahead. And I was a little bit apprehensive when I saw you. I knew it was going to be hard. I didn't think it was going to be particularly easy. Just the fact that we're a promoted side, the gaps between the divisions is obviously getting bigger and bigger. There's no doubt about that, and you can see that from the teams that come up last year all got relegated, and it could be very similar this season. Saints and Ipswich really struggling. We've had a really tough time, really tough time. I didn't think our opening fixtures were horrific, really, and I expected a lot more from what I saw. But we're coming up. I said when I was on the overlap with you, I was pretty clear. I thought I tried to defend the manager. They said, "Oh, will he stick to his principles and be stubborn and do what company's done?" And I said, I thought he'd adapt. I thought he would be flexible. I thought he would try and get the best out of his players in the Premier League and play to their strengths. And unfortunately, it's become a bit of a vanity project for him, the manager. And if he remains our manager, unfortunately, we will get relegated. But we will get relegated in the worst possible way, unfortunately.
So, what has the story sort of the season been? Because you've touched on the adaptation, and I think I thought that you would need to adapt in some way. So, has he not adapted from the Championship? So, are you sort of seeing the same brand of football from the Championship to the Premier League?
Yeah, it's exactly the same, really. Much of the same. Just in the Championship, you get a lot more time on the ball, and you're able to play out from the back, and move the ball through midfield quicker. I don't think the transfer window was great. We've made a lot of signings because you're trying to get ready for the Premier League. A lot of people said it was a year too early for us, which is nonsense. I think it's nonsense because we went down for a season. We've been a well-established Premier League club for a long time. And we went down with a very good squad that should have done a lot better in the Championship, actually. But we just about got up. Obviously went up via the playoffs in the end. And we'd had a bad runs at times. We had a brilliant run in the middle. And we played some good football in it. But the side let a lot of goals in, 64 in the Championship. And I thought we had potential to let a lot in the Premier League. But they brought in Aaron Ramsdale. He's got a very good goalkeeper. Kyle Walker-Peters is an England international. Harvard Bellis, England under-21 captain, very good player. We spoke about that on my show. Then you look at Jan Bednarek, he's a Polish international. Yeah, he went off to Villa, didn't have a great time, but he's come back. He's been very consistent. He's a Premier League player. They brought Yuki Sigawara in. He's a right back. He's very good, more than good enough to play in the Premier League, in my opinion. Mateus Fernandes come in, a Portuguese international, 20. He's a very good player. I like him. Dibling's broke through from the academy. He's been magnificent. Another player that can play in the Premier League, in my opinion. Joe Aribo. I've named 8 players, and there's a lot of fans gaslighting a lot of the other fans in our fan base saying, well, you don't have the players to stay in the division. Well, I've just named 8. Throw Cam Archer in there as well. He's more than good enough to play at this level. There's 9 players, and they should be doing a lot better than they are. We got 5 points from 14 games. It's embarrassing now. But the way we're gifting chances to teams, Loki, is unbelievable at times.
I mean, I've seen some of the goals that you've been. I mean, I think one goal that you conceded against Chelsea. I think I've seen that goal a few times from you this season. You know, when you're playing out from the back, and was it the keeper just passed it straight to a Chelsea player? So, why do you think you keep conceding goals like that?
Yeah, a lot of people say it's down to the players. It's the players. The players have to take responsibility, but the manager has a philosophy in the way he wants to play, and a lot of it is built from the back. When you've got Aaron Ramsdale in goal, you've got a better chance, but he's injured, so it's harder. And we've got Alex McCarthy injured, who was like the second choice this season. Bazunu, who was the number 1, long-term absentee. So we're down to the 4th choice goalie in Lumley. He's just not not good enough for the Championship, let alone the Premier League. And he's trying to play passes into midfield when you haven't got anybody in midfield that's good enough to take the ball. And I watched Chelsea last night, and I've watched other sides come to St Mary's, and I've been all over the country. I've watched every Saints game live other than one this season. And the one thing that's very, very noticeable is with the top sides, they can play the ball out from the goalkeeper to the fullback and they play it in midfield, but they can transition the ball quicker because they're fitter, they're stronger, but they're technically so much better. And they're able to get out and they're able to find outlets. But Southampton get the ball, they're slow, ponderous, they're not that fit. They're a really unfit team, I think, personally. And when he goes into midfield, they technically haven't got the players that are good enough to find a pass. And then when you're trying to find an outlet, you haven't really got an outlet because they didn't buy a good enough left winger in the first place. You've got Adam Armstrong that's playing there a bit, who struggled at Premier League. There's no doubt about it. Ryan Fraser's not really been fit enough. He's played a little bit. And the only real outlet and the only real sparkle is Tyler Dibling. And he's come through from the academy. But there's never a way out. So all we do is go backwards. And then we like, you saw it early on in the season against Newcastle. We gifted them a goal and lost the game. And it was one individual error. They were down to 10 men. We had a really, really, really strong performance. Walked away with nothing through an individual error from the goalkeeper. We then come home to Forest. We didn't have a shot at goal. We stunk the place out. It was awful. We then go to Brentford. We make individual error after individual error, end up losing 3-1. Could have been a lot uglier on the day. And it's continued. And it's continued. And we continue to make the same mistakes time and time again. You saw it against Liverpool the other week. The goalkeeper's making mistakes. I could name game after game after game where we just give teams opportunities. But we're not good enough to have the ball on the edge of our 18-yard box. We're just not. We don't have the midfielders that are good enough to take the ball and look after it enough and keep it for long enough periods of time. Because, we've been built on a side that's possession-based. So, against the ball, when we have a side that press us and got the ball, we don't know what to do because we've got no shape. So it is a mess. It is a mess. We need to get back to basics really, really quickly because as it stands, we could go down as probably one of the worst Premier League teams that's ever been seen.
Yeah, so I think playing out from the back, you've got problems. But sort of talk to me a little bit tactically about what are you trying to do when you're going into midfield. So what is sort of Russell Martin's philosophy?
Yeah, so what he's tried to do this year is he did it in the playoff final. He went with 5 at the back. So he played 2 centre backs and he play an additional centre back that can drift into midfield. And one man that he's used, he got sent off last night, was our captain, Jack Stevens. And he would drift into midfield. They almost play like a hybrid. And if he didn't do it, Carl Walker-Peters, he's been playing left back, he's a right back, he would often drop into midfield and play the hybrid role. And Ryan Manning would do it from left back if he was playing left back, or the fullbacks have that ability to drop in, and it's all very hybrid. It just doesn't work. It gets quite messy. They just can't transition the ball quick enough at times. They've had some good moments in games where the system is we've looked okay, whether it's the system or just we've looked okay. But the way we set up with this 5 at the back, I don't particularly. He's trying to make it a little bit harder to beat. But you got players like Jack Stevens, who's the club captain, technically not good enough to play in the Premier League. In the Championship, he struggled, to be quite honest. He got sent off against Man United, so after a 5-game ban for violent conduct, and what he called the referee was inexcusable. The tackle was awful, but before he calls the ref and the 4th official what he did. And then he serves a suspension. Martin manages to, because he loves him so much, he has his favourites, like any manager does. He gets him back in the side. And last night, he goes and pulls Cucurella's hair. Wednesday night against Chelsea, pulls him down, gets sent off again. He'll serve another 5-game ban. So, you've got players doing that, and it doesn't help. It just doesn't help. I didn't even know what the system was at the end of the game last night. It was a mess Wednesday night. It was just an absolute mess.
So I'll ask you probably, I don't know if a difficult or an easy question for you. As it stands, it looks like you are going to get relegated from the Premier League. Would you, as a fan, prefer to take a risk and sack Russell Martin, or allow him to see the season out, Championship, try and get back in? Like, does he have enough credit in the bank to do that, or Where's your thoughts at the minute?
No, you don't have the credit in the bank anymore. Like I do a lot of fan cam around the ground, and I did a bit before the game last Wednesday night. I did a bit for the game at the weekend as well, and I've been around the fan base a lot, so I get a really good sense of what they're feeling and what they're saying, and everyone comes back to the same thing. Yeah, he had a bit of credit, but I think it's long gone now. It's long gone. I think it's long gone with the owners actually as well, because the Sport Republic, the ownership are under fire as well. They've hashed up several transfer windows pretty badly. They stuck with the manager too long this time. They probably fired Hasenhüttl last time around too early, and didn't give him enough time. And this time they haven't got it. They just haven't got it right. I don't think he has the credit. If he remains the manager of Southampton Football Club, he'd get us relegated playing this style of football, and it would probably get 13 points. But as it's going, if you're looking at the average points per game, we'll get about 13 points. So be close to Derby's record playing this way, and it's how much damage that will do between now and the end of the season. His job will be untenable by the end of the season if he's here anyway, and the fans wouldn't want him anyway. They don't want him now. A large part of that fan base. So I think it's going to be really, really difficult for him, Russell Martin. I think time's run out. I think the result against Chelsea Wednesday, there was boos sort of in the main stand where all the sort of like the avid fans stand, and they were all singing "You're getting sacked in the morning." When your own fans start to chant that, I think you've got a problem. I think anybody sort of like mid-40s, 50s, they hate the football because they just see us gifting teams chance after chance. I'd roll the dice and try and do something now and try and make it respectable and give yourself a little bit of a chance. Like I said to you, the squad's not horrific. They've got some players that could potentially do okay at this level, but you know, there's a long way back now. It's probably too late. No team's ever survived from the position we're in right now. So it's what they do. I think it's getting fairly toxic already again. We've been down this road with Nathan Jones. It's a horrible, horrible place to be. But yeah, it's. I sound really depressing, don't I? But I'm just talking
No,
from my
because
heart today. I'm just being honest.
it's tough. Like when you live and breathe your football club and things are difficult and it's not going well. It's really tough to talk about, isn't it? But one bright spark would be Tyler Dibling. Talk to me about
Yeah, he's
him.
magnificent.
Sort of where's where's his journey been? You know, where's he come from? How has he just came out of nowhere from a fan from afar?
Yeah, so like within being a Southampton fan, obviously you hear about talent coming through the academy, and there's been a couple of names in recent years. A lad called Sam Amiyao. He's probably a little bit ahead of Tyler a little while ago, and there was Tyler Dibling, and they spoke about Tyler a lot. He was like seen as the next big thing, and he'd done very well, sort of like in every age group. And a couple of years ago, sort of the season we got relegated, Chelsea bought him, and he went off to Chelsea, and he got homesick. He didn't like it. Obviously, even though he's not far away, I don't think he didn't get the opportunities he wanted. But he was there for about 6 months, and in the end, Southampton struck a deal to bring him back to St Mary's, and he went into the under-18s, and he was brilliant. Then he broke through to 21s and done really, really well. Was scoring goals. He was doing really well at pretty much every England age level he's played at. He scored goals and made an impact. And he was probably frustrated not to get any game time last year. He played in around the FA Cup games and looked really, really good. And I just thought, come on, Russell, believe in him because he's brilliant. And then pre-season, I went and watched our first pre-season game against Eastleigh, which is a local side to us, a very small sort of small club, sort of playing in the right lower leagues. And though it was Eastleigh, he looked so good that day. And I thought, Christ, this boy's bulked up. Big, he's strong. And he looked really, really good. He looked really good. And I had the pleasure of bumping into him at an event for Puma at the club early on in the season. And funny enough, I spoke to him and he said, "Oh, Mike, you're always on my For You page for TikTok." And I had a little bit of a chat with him. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. And he said, "I'm hungry." And he wanted to play in the first team. And he's like, "I'm ready." And he's a shy lad. He's very, very shy, but he's cool. He's really calm. And it was Man United. He'd come on in a couple of games and he was looking good. I'm like, he can play at the Premier League. There's no doubt about it. And we went into the game against Man United at home, and you spoke about it. And I went on to I met your friends from TNT actually before the game, and they were talking about players, and I said to him about it. I said, Tyler Dibling plays. You want to watch him because he's brilliant. And I said he'd score his first Premier League goal within the next few weeks. There's no doubt about it. He's that good. And really, I said, yeah, he's unbelievable. And brilliant against Man United, tore him to bits. And then the next home game against Ipswich, he scored his first ever senior goal, and it was brilliant. It's brilliant. And he'd go on and score loads of Premier League goals. Luke, it reminds me of Jack Grealish, the way he has those big calves, socks around his ankles. He wears football boots from 2 years ago, got holes in them. He don't care. He's so good. So good. Brilliant. He can be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, he's going to be worth a lot of money, and he's a brilliant player. So what have you made of Villa this season then? Thoughts on how we've been doing?
Yeah, I watched Villa a lot this year. I watched them actually. Probably the one game I was really surprised at their performance was against Chelsea on Sunday. I haven't seen the highlights from obviously the Brentford game on Wednesday, but I watched them against Chelsea and was surprised and thought they looked a little bit leggy and a little bit tired. But I watched them a lot at the start of the season, and I thought they were magnificent. There's a lot to be admired about Unai Emery. I pronounced his name correctly. But Emery's a brilliant manager. I think he's magnificent, and what he's done there to get him into the Champions League. And they've got some great talent within that squad as well. I've loved the development of Ollie Watkins and what he's done, breaking through to the national side and scoring goals for England. And he should have got more game time at the Euros, in my opinion. I thought his season last year was magnificent. And Morgan Rogers, he's in my dream team. I said that to you on my show. I think he's a real dream player. Then he got a world-class goalkeeper in your goalkeeper as well. And I just think, Martinez is brilliant. He's brilliant. I know he winds people up, but he's a world-class goalkeeper. He plays for the world champions, and I think they've got brilliant crop of players. I like the football they play, and you got people like Barkley that can come in. I know he's a squad player, but he's still, he walk into a lot of Premier League sides, wouldn't he? He's a really, really good asset. And I watched a bit of Tielemans. I think he's got better this season when I've seen him play. I've been quite impressed with him when I've seen him play, and I enjoyed the goals that Duran scored at the start of the season as well. I thought he looks a really, really good player, and like you were telling me, he's a bit part player as well. And it's when I've seen him play, I love a player like that playing for us.
Yeah, he's really good. So what can Villa expect from Southampton then? What's going to be the Southampton game plan? What are you hoping you can do? Where do you think Villa will be able to hurt you?
Yeah, it's a really quick turnaround. This game, that's for sure. Is there's no time between it. A lot of Southampton fans, X is toxic today. The fans are hoping for a change. I don't think there'll be a change before the weekend. Russell Martin's press conference is today, so it'd be interesting to see what he has to say on things. But you have a few players back, which will how Ballas will be back, Downs will be back, and Tyler Dibling. There'd be massive bonuses. Injury-wise, Jan Bednarek probably be available for this one as well. He missed the Chelsea game Wednesday, so he's going to be back and available, which would be a massive, massive plus for Saints. And then it just be he needed a response from them after the other night. He came out and said he was proud of his players after the performance against Chelsea. I find it hard to believe. He could be proud of a 5-0 thrashing. James Bree, the right back, come out, or he played centre back the other night. He came out and said the scoreline flattered Chelsea. I don't know what game he was playing in because I was watching a totally different game. It could have been 7 or 8. It could have been more. Honestly, they hit the woodwork 4 times. It didn't flatter them by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, the game plan will be very much the same. It won't change against Villa. Downs will make a difference in midfield, that's for sure. Whether we can get the ball into Cam Archer enough and give him the service that he requires, that's been a big problem all season. Really struggled to get him in games, but when we have got him in games, he looked really, really good against Chelsea. He's probably one of the shining stars. I think if Saints are going to get anything out of the game at Villa, they need Dibling and Archer to be right at it for me, Luke. I think that those two will be key. But yeah, I do fear playing Villa. I've got to be honest. I think there's a Russell Martin talks about scar tissue when he come in. Christ, the scar tissue that's going to be created after this season is going to be quite something. And how they bounce back from that defeat against Chelsea, I don't know. But I think Watkins will cause Saints problems. And it depends who plays wide for Villa. Like, you know, we're easy to get in behind at times and kind of cut through our midfield. And if Villa put a press on Southampton, which, you know, I would imagine he's watching the way we play, he just forces into errors. And that's what any good team that's fit and strong and powerful, that's what they do. Chelsea did it. They just press. They just press and they get men around our men and they don't let them out. And we're not technically good enough to get out, and that's the problem. So yeah, I'd expect Villa to cause Saints some serious issues.
Thank you, mate. It's been great hearing your insight into Southampton. I know it's not the most easiest thing to talk about when your team's struggling, but your content is fantastic. Villa fans, go and check out Martin's content. I'll put it in the description, and his channel will be in the title as well. Really, really good stuff. You get a real good insight to what the fans are feeling as well, and I think that's something that you build your content on. So cheers for coming on, mate, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next one.